You're live on Joy News today. Many thanks for joining us. We begin with COVID-19 and Volta, Bono and Bono East regions are leading the charge when it comes to those those new infections that we have recorded. Now, they are now emerging as a COVID-19 hotspots in the country. The case rise in these regions have significantly increased since July. Director of the Ghana Health Service, Dr. Patrick Kumar-Boaje, who gave an update on the country's case count at a briefing, mentioned, for instance, the Volta region, which had only 16 active cases as at 1st July, now has 532. Most of these cases were recorded in schools. He's warning of a very steep increase in the numbers of critical and severe cases. Now, we will go back to that story in just a few minutes. But first, protesters have thronged the streets of Accra to drum home a demand for the country's problems to be fixed. Leading the demonstration are mainly young people complaining about a lack of jobs, corruption and poor infrastructure across the country. Joy News' Banal Kranting is covering the demonstration for us and has sent this report.
After 3 months of a back and forth with the police that traveled through the country's courts, finally, one of Ghana's most talked about demonstrations is underway.
Do they care of our next generation? Do they care? We have another seat of how much more there?
So a lot of placards with various inscriptions, including fix the country, fix the roads, fix the educational sector. All of these have been voiced by the thousands of demonstrators who have joined the hashtag Fix the Country demonstration today. They'll be marching all the way from the Kwame Nkrumah Circle. And right about now, on the John Evans High Street, headed for the Black Star Square.
What started as a Twitter hashtag has now morphed into a movement that wants to put the country's political class on its toes. From as early as 6 a.m., people were already massing up.
What the youth of Ghana need today is job, job, job. Tidra. Before they came to government, they told us that borrowing is a lazy man's approach. Today, they have borrowed more than 200 million Ghana cedis, and the ordinary Ghanaian use the money. President Akufu is driving this country in the wrong direction, and it's sabotaging something in government about it.
Yeah, German, and this people, now we are the same. We are still and I've seen into the party. The person to country,
This is rare. Most demonstrations in Ghana have largely been put together and sponsored by the two leading political parties, NPP and the NDC. This is different, says the organizers.
We all understand how people are being suppressed when they try to talk about what is going on. We know what happened in Nigeria. The Nigeria report is still a suspicion now. We don't know what is going on there. There's so much happening, so much things happening in this country that are not going on. That's why you can see the youth are poured on here to voice out and tell them people they have elected to govern them that nothing is going on.
I'm past 75 years. Okay. Must judiciously use our natural resources for development and not all these taxes of citizens creating problems for them.
This may be one street protest, and hundreds have joined. But there are thousands of others who have joined the protest on virtual platforms like Twitter, where it all began. The protesters say this may be the first of many more to come. The country waits to see if this will be enough to indeed get the country fixed. Manuel Kranting's report for news.
So that's what happened on the ground. However, the Fix the Country protest primarily started on social media. So what are the trends saying this morning? And Mapito Sebidi is with us in studio to discuss that. Maps, so tell us, what is the latest on social media?
All right, so Daniel Dazi, trending in Ghana at #1 is #FixTheCountry, and that has over 72,000 tweets. From Silas Joy, he's giving some tips to the protesters that don't wear contact lenses to protest. It could trap tear gas. If you're asthmatic, go out with your inhalers, wear a mask, and take your sanitizer with you. If you are bleeding, apply pressure, eat well before you go on the protest. You can join the online protest if you feel like you are not fit with the #FixTheCountry. This one is from @Ni_Shukura, who says, I felt so sad after watching this video. Ghanaians are not lazy, they just don't have the right resources. #FixTheCountry. Aite_Derek says, facts, #FixTheCountry, now #FixTheCountry. So this is a placard from the protest and says, remove 20% sanitary pad tax. Now you can't tax their periods. Menstruation is not a luxury good. So those are some of the tweets that are coming in on Twitter, and it is trending at #1.
It sort of gives you an idea, doesn't it, Maps? The variety of issues that are being protested. You find, and now I just saw this one that you shared about the sanitary pad tax, for instance.
Yeah.
People have been talking about jobs. What have you been observing on social media?
So it's not like it's just roads and electricity and water. It cuts across all the sectors. It's like taxes for women, who can't afford it. We have done some stories where children or girls can't go to school because they can't afford to buy sanitary pads. So what they're asking, what the protesters are asking is that, okay, the 20% sanitary pads tax, can you please remove it so that the Ama or Abana in the village who can't afford to buy her sanitary pads can buy them. But also we're talking about the Kwesi who lives in Spintex and his road is terrible. He's also complaining that, Chale, I earn probably like 2,000 Ghana cedis. I have this my small car, but half of my salary most of the time is going to be to repair my car because of my terrible roads. And we also have Kweku on the other side who's saying that, Chale, for the past 2 weeks, I haven't had water. I didn't have water for the past 2 weeks.
So a very wide variety.
It's a very wide variety.
As host of Joy News Interactive, you've been tracking #FixTheCountry from the very first time that it came out.
Yeah.
How do you think it grew from an online movement to this massive street protest?
So first of all, the protesters had really great influencers behind it, and influencers who actually put their hearts and their soul into this protest. #FixTheCountry was not just trending because we wanted to trend, but it's actually because we're tired. They are tired. That's what they're saying. We're tired. I mean, for so long, we've been sleeping. Now we are woke, like they like to say it on the Twitter streets. We are woke. And Chale, we're tired. We don't have jobs. We don't have electricity. And you're telling us to fix ourselves. What does that even mean?
I get the sense that the initial reaction of fix yourself from, a lot of persons sympathetic to government also did not rub well with these protesters.
It did, because I'm asking you to fix my road or to give me water or constant supply of electricity, and you're telling me to fix myself. I'm not the Minister of Energy, or I'm not the Minister of Education, where there's like appalling structures or school structures. I understand you say I must fix myself. That's good. I mean, it makes sense in some way or another, but also it doesn't make sense.
And I get that that's the reaction that you've been seeing.
That's the reaction we've been seeing. People are saying that, okay, so I had a conversation with a few people on Joy News Interactive earlier this morning, and they say, okay, some are saying, yeah, we need to fix ourselves because you can't say you fix the country, but you are pouring your sachet water on the floor, or the gutter is choked and you're not doing anything about it. But it's also like, Chale, it's not as basic as they make it seem, you understand? Or they make it seem to sound. So, yeah, but a very interesting tweet. This is from the demonstration, and he says, this is a letter to his mom. I may not return home alive from this demo. And if I don't, Mama, remember I died fighting for the betterment of the next generation. I'm going to read that again. I may not return home alive from this demo. And if I don't, Mama, remember, I died fighting for the betterment of the next generation. And this kind of takes us back to the Ijura protest when, I mean, 2 people lost their lives there.
But thankfully, this protest has not seen any such altercations with the security officials.
Definitely,
we saw ahead of this that the IGP, the new IGP, put out word that he will not countenance any sort of altercation. He said that these people will be fully protected. I see there you've pulled a picture of Black Rasta, and it tells the story of how lots of celebrities are involved in this.
And it also shows that this is not just the ordinary citizens. This is everyone, you know, because most of the time, a lot of people complain that the celebrities and the influencers are not involved in the day-to-day or like the protests. But we see someone who's very influential, Black Rasta, and he's saying that, you know what, I agree with you. Just because maybe I might live in my Trasaco, I might drive my Range Rover, it doesn't mean that the things that are affecting you don't affect me, Daniel.
Right, thank you so much, Mapito Sebidi, bringing us the perspective from social media, because like we said, the hashtag Fix the Country protest started on Twitter. Let's get to the grounds now. Manuel Kranting has been marching with the demonstrators since 7 a.m. Manuel, have you reached your destination?
Yes, Daniel.
Yes, Manuel, have you arrived at the Black Star Square?
Yes, we're currently at the Black Star Square. Just gone by was a 1 minute of silence observation for the late Mohammed Kaka, who was killed in Ijura sometime in June. The demonstrators say that is part of the symbolism that they are showing today in request for government and all other state agencies to address the teething challenges that they have listed, from education to health to roads and so on and so forth. For now, though, we are going to have an address by family members of the late Mohammed Kaka, and then also we'll see some of the lead campaigners of the demonstration, i.e. Oliver Baka-Bomawo, Okateche, Felix Tineoting, and all the others who started this campaign right from social media. Daniel.
Right. Manuel, tell me, we know that the police has been very careful. They have been maintaining security. But what's the general assessment now that the demonstration seems to have come to an end?
Daniel, it would not be wrong to say that there's been close to no security event at all. But for that, situation where the protesters disagreed with the police on the route to use towards the Independence Square, that has been by far the only event which got the security personnel involved with demonstrators directly. Apart from that, it's been the security personnel providing security for the protesters as they march almost seamlessly. We've seen a high level of cooperation between the protesters and then the police service, because they've been directing them on where to pass and what time to pass there. We've seen them block some portions of the major roads in Accra to allow the protesters access as they march. So, Dan, I want to talk about security. Currently, I see heavy presence of police personnel with about 10 FPU, crowd control vehicles, all full of police men and women, indicating that their presence here is duly represented, Daniel.
Now, Manuel, I noticed earlier, whilst you were interviewing some of the protesters, that we were getting a wide variety of subjects, which are the specific motivations for this demonstration. Run us through a few of those.
Daniel, say again, please.
Why did the people come out on the streets like this? What are the motivations that they've been giving you?
And so, Daniel, you remember that this is a question I posed to Felicity about what exactly the reason would be. And they say that they do not have a single list, or if you like, a single issue that they want government to address. They list a multifaceted level of issues from roads, as I've just said, to health, to educating, and everything. In fact, there's a public health specialist or practitioner who I spoke to, who told me that, she's on the street because as a public health worker, she feels that the conditions under which she works are being threatened. And so she is adding her voice to the Fix the Country movement to get government to address them. I've seen older people who have work ethics, who have joined the demonstration and will not stay at home. I asked one old man who told me he's 75 years old and over, but he's having to join this demonstration because after 30 years of democracy in Ghana, he's not seeing any proper yield that has accrued to the country. And so indeed, he's adding his voice to those of the youth who have thronged the principal streets of Accra this afternoon to register their displeasure in the same vein. So indeed, a really varied array of people demonstrating this morning, mainly the youth, but also lots of older people who are among the crowd. Daniel?
Now, Manuel, I know that you've spoken to a number of the organizers, as you say. Have they been able to answer the question that after this protest, what's next?
Well, so they say, in fact, indications that we are getting is that this may just be the very first of a series of events which will be organized in the name of the Fix the Country movement. For them, this is just, an icebreaker or an opener for the registration of their issues to government. And so this is not the end at all. The indication that we've gotten this afternoon is that this is definitely not the end. They're not presenting a petition to anybody. When I say anybody, I mean government representative or parliament, the presidency. Not one, member of officialdom is being presented a petition this afternoon. It's them expressing their displeasure about how the country is being run, and they say they will do so in more ways if their issues are not addressed. Daniel.
Well, Kranting, for bringing us that update from the Independence Square. You're live on Joy News today. Let's move to other stories now. In the Volta, Bono and Bono East regions are emerging as COVID-19 hotspots in the country. The case rise in these regions have significantly increased since July. Director General of the Ghana Health Service, Dr. Patrick Kumar-Boaji, who gave an update on the country's case count at a briefing, mentioned, for instance, the Volta region, which had only 16 active cases as at 1st July, now has 532. Most of these cases were recorded in schools. He's warning of a very steep increase in the numbers of critical and severe cases if the low adherence to the safety protocols continue.
The non-adherence to the protocols remains the main challenge. Inappropriate use of the face mask. Sometimes we say inappropriate because we realize that most people leave their house with their mask in their pocket. We went to an event and we asked that everybody should just wave their mask. And everybody waved their mask. And we asked them, please, wear them. Because they were all not wearing them. And I think we need to really imbibe that practice. We have no adherence to hand washing. You have Veronica bucket that have run out of water, or no soap, or no tissue. And I think we need to go back to that. The non-maintenance of the social distancing is becoming an issue. People are organizing all kinds of events across the country. That brings, without the necessary protocols, that brings challenges to the system and creates web. The Delta variant has a higher capacity for transmission, and as we speak now, is the dominant variant. It's taking over from the Alpha, particularly in Greater Accra. The last data we saw, about 79% of all the variants detected were Delta. And that means that we are in a different situation, that we will need to adhere to our protocol. The good thing is that you don't need any special protection. The very same protection of hand washing, social distancing, and wearing your mask is still what you need, whatever the variant you're dealing with.
Let's get onto the Zoom connection and now speak to Anas Sabit, a man in the Bono East region, which has become one of the hotspots for the disease. Anas, tell me, is there an awareness of the worryingly increasing number of COVID cases in the Bono East region?
Daniel, I would say the people here are not much informed about the current situation. I've had the opportunity to speak with some few people and they are still of the view that the situation is same as it was before. In June, I mean before the 1st of July, the region had only 6 active cases. Within 3 weeks, the region recorded 77 new cases, and within the past 1 week, the region has nearly 200 cases. The regional health director told me the situation is worrying. But the situation is worrying because the health officials are aware of the situation, but the people on the ground, if you go to the stations, if you go to the markets, it's almost everyone is doing the usual thing, walking, carrying out their daily activities without the adherence to the safety protocols as it used to be. We also know that the regional minister said they are coming up with strategy together with the regional security council to hit on the ground to ensure the enforcement of the protocol. As I speak to you now, that is yet to be implemented.
Have they let us know what exactly they will be doing in terms of strategies to ensure adherence to safety protocols?
The last time I engaged the regional minister, he told me the regional security council has met and they are going to send security men on the ground, especially at the main station and then in the market area. You know, the Tetuan market is one of the largest in the South region. And so the regional minister told me the security agencies will hit on the ground to ensure that people going about their normal activities will adhere to the protocols, especially the use of the mismatch, which is one of the surest ways of preventing ourselves. So that is what the security agencies are telling me. I'm yet to come across that being implemented.
Anna Sabis, thank you very much for joining us from the Bono East region. Now, Food and Drugs Authority boss Delise Mimi Darko has justified the authenticity of the antigen diagnostic test being used at the Kotoka International Airport for COVID-19 testing. Responding to some claims and concerns about the accuracy of results churned out by the machines, she outlined the rigorous processes every test goes through before results are released. She adds the devices are so efficient that they are able to detect all strains being identified now.
Including devices, and test kits are considered devices. Since COVID started, we have actually evaluated over 60 of these devices, and only a certain number of them have been approved. If you go onto our website, you will see the devices that have been approved for use in Ghana. So I'd actually like to use this medium to ask all Ghanaians that please do not use any device that has not been registered. And secondly, that home testing using test kits are not permitted in Ghana for COVID-19. So if I come back to the testing device at the airport, it is an antigen testing system. It is not a rapid diagnostic cartridge system. So it's not like the ones that you can buy in a box and you can use yourself or that people are using at home. Sometimes people get these things confused. And this was evaluated by the Food and Drugs Authority in July 2020. Now, the difference between this device and the other ones that people tend to confuse it with is that with the other test kits, you drop your sample on it or whatever, whether it's a swab, whatever, and the line comes and you read it with your naked eye. Now, with this particular device, it is an automated fluorescence immunoassay device, which means that it detects the virus by a certain fluorescence. And there is also what we call a nanotechnology technology that makes it even more sensitive. I'm trying to describe the device in as simple terms as I can. So when you go to the airport, you see that they put a swab in your nose. They put it in a certain solution. The solution is what contains the antibody. So if you have the virus from your nose will bind onto that antibody. They then drop it onto a piece of paper. It's called a cellulose paper. They drop it when they get to the machine. It binds again onto another antibody. So you have a sandwich, what we call a sandwich. So it's called an antibody sandwich. Then they put it into the machine. Once they put it into the machine, it binds with a certain nanoparticle that is on that strip. And then it is read by the fluorescence detector. So you cannot see it with your naked eye. All that actually makes the system more sensitive and able to detect the virus. Once this reaction has taken place, then you read it on an LED screen and it is printed out. I know that they give you a certain barcode. It is not, you don't, the people who are testing don't even know whose sample they are testing. It is based on a certain barcode that we all know when we go in for testing, when we come into the country. If you want to compare this to what the minister talked about, so that is the RDT, that is called a lateral flow. It is your antigen will bind onto the antibody, and then you read it with your naked eye. There's no magnification, there's no fluorescence, there is nothing. It is less sensitive. And currently, we have probably registered only about 2 of those antigen test kits, 2 or 3 of them.
Away from COVID-19, there may be light at the end of the tunnel for Gideon Fafa Apenya, the boy who did not grow. The 10,000 cedi bill for diagnostics has been picked up by Trillium Foundation, which operates under Trillium Industrial Company. Now, Gideon's story came to the fore last week when the Prime Morning crew visited him at Peki in the Volta region, where he has been pinned to the ground for some 18 years by spinal condition, which rendered him unable to move his neck or any limbs. Here's a look at that story. For Gideon, whom we are just about to meet, he spent every single day since he was 3 months old bedridden with a spinal condition.
Spinal cord.
So we've come to the Kolebu Teaching Hospital to meet Dr. Hadi Abdallah, a neurosurgeon who may have a solution for Gideon's condition.
I mean, watching this now, I'm beginning to form the impression that probably he might have suffered either some spinal cord injury or brain injury of a sort. I would say that for the initial evaluation, bar consultation fee for whichever hospital he evaluated, probably if you get like 10,000 Ghana cedis, it should be adequate or enough.
How does a woman who sells oranges for 10 Ghana cedis foot a 10,000 cedi bill for diagnostics alone?
So when the doctor assesses the patient and then find out that this is what has to be done, this is the surgery that the patient will have to undergo, this is the cost involved, he gets to our partners to see how best they can help.
Doris's case, she needs economic support. I know the government has the LEAP program. I think more has to be done. There needs to be a way government can recognize mothers or primary caregivers as carers. Do you understand? Where they can be receiving some sort of stipend monthly. I know they do it in other countries, and I know Ghana can do it too.
I'm also a special mother. Because of that, eventually I lost my job. Sometimes you have to go begging on social media. Sometimes they mock you with so many things.
For me, it was like, what have we done to ourselves as individuals, as a nation, and why we haven't done much concerning these issues, concerning our healthcare.
Congratulations to you, Daniel, to the RIPAL, and to MGL for bringing this up. It won't end here. Let's keep the fight on. Let's get a policy that serves everybody in our society.
And that fight is still ongoing, but Trillium, which produces Rush Energy Drink, Venom Mineral Water, and many other products, responded to this story by giving Gideon money and some cartons of water. We met up with them at the Kolebu Teaching Hospital, where Gideon's treatment has begun. Obvious look of relief on Doris's face as she sits under a shady tree in front of the surgical block of Kolebu Teaching Hospital. She's made the long journey to Accra to seek treatment for her son. Flanking her are officials of Trillium Foundation, who are visibly moved at the sight of 18-year-old Gideon Fafa Apenya, the boy who did not grow. Gideon is wrapped in a cloth, cradled in his mother's arms like a 3-year-old toddler. His bright eyes suggest he's interested in his new surroundings, but he can't walk, talk or even lift his neck to acknowledge the group that has gathered for his benefit. Emilia Jesse works with Twillium.
Twillium believe in touching each and every life through the simple way that we can. The product you buy from us, we don't just take the money, but we believe that something small can go to people. You can help touch a life irrespective of where you are. So far as you purchase our product, then you are giving back to society. So that is why we are here, to help this boy go through the diagnosis that he needs, to also live a life just like a normal person as we are. So if you see us here, we are from Twillium Foundation by Twillium Industrial Company Limited, giving our quota to support the young man also live a life just like us.
What are you giving and what's the...
Okay, so as you can see on now, we are donating 10,000 Ghana cedis for him to go through the donation, and we have some pack of water as well for him to drink. Water is life, and we believe by drinking it, he will sustain himself till the time he get there to finish what he has to go through. So if you see us here, we are donating this and our products as well.
Programs Manager for Repower Foundation, Prince Adobo, is grateful.
On behalf of Gideon's family, especially his mother, we say a very big thank you to Trillium Industries, producers of Verna Mineral Water, for what they've done for us. They've supported us with 10,000 cedis, and we are so much grateful. We also say a big thank you to the general public for also donating to us through this cause for Gideon. We pretty much appreciate that. Yeah.
Doris, Gideon's mother, also expresses her gratitude.
I didn't
have any hope. I didn't expect to get help. I thank you all for coming to our aid after hearing my story. I'm grateful for all that you have done. God bless you all.
Daniel Daze, Joy News, Kolebu Teaching Hospital. And you're live on Joy News today with me, Daniel Daze. Up next is Daryl Kwao with business.
Hi everyone, time for business. My name is Daryl Kwao. The Ghana Investment Promotion Center, in partnership with the Finance and Information Ministries, has launched an annual investment summit dubbed Spark Up. This initiative is to stimulate conversations on how investments accrued are being implemented. It is expected to reignite investments in Ghana and facilitate business growth. Kojo Ponkrumah is the Information Minister, and he has been speaking to Joy Business in this report.
In 2020, $2.7 billion worth of foreign direct investments were attracted into the country. Spark Up, an initiative by the Ghana Investment Promotion Center, will be implemented to start discussions on how investments accrued last year will be fully utilized. Here's the Minister for Information, Kojo Ponkrumah.
It is to properly give us an opportunity to account and to see how much of that 2.7 billion has been successfully onboarded. What are the outstanding issues for those that have not been onboarded, and how can all of us play a part in ensuring that those issues are dealt with so that we're able to fully onboard the outstanding ones. Our expectation is that by the time we are done with this, we would have all seen how we play various roles in ensuring that whatever is outstanding of the 2.7, which will create 27,000 direct jobs if fully onboarded, how we see ourselves in it and how we can participate in unlocking the space so that they are fully onboarded, and then the potential and the benefits is fully actualized.
Meanwhile, Chief Executive of the Ghana Investment Promotion Center, Yofi Grant, made a call to African countries to fully utilize the African Continental Free Trade Agreement by investing in each other's economies.
The year 2020 ushered in Africa's year. The agreement to form the AFCFTA in itself is very significant. Intra-Africa investment is less than 5%. Intra-Africa trade is some 16-17%. When you compare it to other regions, it pales woefully in comparison. But we can actually ignite a new trend, a new narrative where we trade amongst ourselves, where we invest amongst ourselves and create wealth on the continent. By 2050, Africa will be 1/4 of the world's population. It will be bigger than China, it will be bigger than India. But it will still have not less than 30% of the world's remaining mineral resources. And so if anybody wants to be part of the global growth, they will need to tap in Africa. And it's no wonder that over the past few years, almost all the developed countries have engaged an Africa conference, because there's this agreement that Africa is really where the next action is. So as we launch Spark 2021 or the Spark Up conference, we believe that there's enough motivation for us to do this. There is enough that has been done, and there's more to be done.
The maiden edition of Spark Up will be held on 6th September 2021.
Now to the subject of unemployment and leadership of the Apia University of Skills Development and Entrepreneurship is stepping up initiatives to enhance the chances of students to effectively transition onto the job market. Dean of Faculty of Vocational Education, Dr. Gilbert Owia-Sampson, says more investment in the TVET sector is critical for Ghana's economic development. Prince Apia attended the school's street fashion, where final year students showcased what would be their startup businesses in fashion, and now reports.
The street fashion parade showcased attires and costumes designed by final year students of the Fashion Design Student Association of the Akenting Apia University of Skills Training and Entrepreneurial Development. Under the theme Creativity, the hallmark of a designer, the students used the opportunity to exhibit their craft works as well. Lord Fred Kwadwo Osei is president of the Fashion Design and Textiles Department of the school.
Getting jobs nowadays is very difficult. So we've been able to produce all these things. We are from here going to the outside where we don't expect to be running into offices seeking for jobs. We believe, though we have been trained as teachers, but we are also being trained as entrepreneurs. So we are hoping that right from here, whether being in the classroom or not being in the class, we should be able to establish our own business without depending on anybody. So we are hoping and praying that the government will support all practical institutions, those doing vocational, technical, supply them with the materials they need to make the job very lucrative, and also to entice people to join the vocational education.
The initiative, which forms part of the academic requirement for the year, is aimed at harnessing the entrepreneurial competencies of the students. Dr. Josephine Intri is head of Department for Fashion Design and Textiles Education.
The students are taught creativity. So the things that usually they bring it out is a bit different from what is outside. So that these things will promote fashion, and they will know the trend, the new trend of fashion now. So I know that with this, their new skills, because here we teach them theories backed by the practicals. So all these things are things that they're going to help them, so that when they go out, they can set themselves up. They can also bring the new design so that others who are already in the field can also learn from them.
Meanwhile, Dean of the Faculty of Vocational Education, Dr. Gilbert Owia-Sampson, says the program is critical to addressing the challenge of graduate unemployment.
You can imagine a student who has come to school for 4 years, and at the end of the 4 years has acquired this competency to be able to make these wares and sell. I have purchased some of their beads, and I'm sure others will also purchase. And with this kind of support that we will give them in this purchasing, it can help them to acquire some resources to set up on their own. So even if you are not employed by government at the end of your 4-year program, you have been given some skills so that you can become an entrepreneur after your 4-year program.
The Akenting Apia University of Skills Training and Entrepreneurial Development trains students with the right competencies, as well as equip them to start their own businesses after school. Prince Apia reporting.
And we've got the marketplace coming up at the top of the hour with some more business news for you. Up next, though, it's sports. Don't go anywhere.
Good afternoon, welcome to Sports on Joy News today with me, Muftahu Nabila Abdullahi. Let's start with Rewind, where veteran sports journalist Carl Tufor believes that no player has had a more commanding performance at the AFCON than Abedepele did in 1992. The Maestro led the Black Stars to the final, beating the likes of Zambia and Nigeria en route, but lost a marathon penalty shootout to the Ivory Coast. Carl Tufor said this in the first edition of Rewind, a new series which delves into the backstories of Ghana's major sporting history.
The tournament itself, look at the goals that he scored. Zambia, phenomenal. Picking the ball, running at people, and just, oh my goodness. I have never seen a player dominate a tournament so much, at least for the African Nations Cup. You can talk about Maradona in '86, yeah. The '86 World Cup. But this one, Africa, no. Pele was absolutely here than everywhere. And that's why I'm adamant that whether it had been Otofisa, it had been Kwesi Appiah, it had been CK Jamfio, if Pele had played in that final, would have won, no doubt. It wouldn't have gone to that draw, goalless draw, and then all penalty. Would have won, no doubt. He would have found a way to get the goal.
Rewind airs this Saturday at 4 p.m. on the Joy News channel. Now let's talk about some stories that has to do with hooliganism in Ghana football, where the Chief Executive Officer of Kumasi Asante Kotoko, Nanaya Amponsa, claims that hooliganism is on the rise under the administration of Kurt Okreko. Speaking on Asampa FM, the 2019 Ghana FA presidential candidate said the canker has sullied the country's competitions.
In some areas, yes, baby steps. Some areas can't be satisfied. If you look at what is happening currently in our football, one is hooliganism, that is on very high level. It won't be a check in terms of say, yabu referee, yabu opposing players, yabu pipeline crofoti almost every week. There are images nobody wants to see in the sport now. There have been issues of officiating that people keep complaining about. Almost every week, everybody will be a referee bans or suspends a referee, which for me is not the best. And the latest one is this issues of betting and
match fixing,
sport fixing. Me feel say because the integrity of every sport lies in the uncertainty of results. Say you can see be a there is a perception that results are predetermined that it will collapse the sport.
That is the opinion of the Chief Executive Officer of Kumasi Asante Kotoko, Nanaya Amponsa, on what Kurt and his team are doing as they lead Ghana football for the next 4 years since coming into office in 2019. Now let's talk about boxing, where a former Minister of Youth and Sports, Nilante van der Poel, called on Ghanaian boxers to be disciplined. According to him, the insubordination on the part of boxers hurt their career progress, admonishing that they accord their managers some respect.
Sometimes the ingratitude of our boxers towards their handlers and managers is appalling. It's not good. It's frustrating. I've sat and listened to so many cases of boxers who were nobodies. As soon as they become somebody, then they turn their backs on the trainers, on the handlers, and the management which groomed and nurtured them to become champions.
Nilante van der Poel, former Minister of Youth and Sports. That is your sports for now. Head on to myjoyonline.com and read some more sports stories. Coming up next is World News.
And this is where we wrap up today's bulletin of Joy News today. For more news, log on to myjoyonline.com. Daryl Kwao returns to your screens in just a few minutes with The Marketplace. My name is Daniel Daze. Enjoy the rest of your holiday.